later, when yet again gulfed the earth, the three friends decided to show what they're worth. The world is spreading sickness, so they tried to spread mirth, and that's how we'll get through. It's Duck and COVID, yes, Duck and COVID. We can't just be like turtles, we're humans too. You and you, Duck and COVID.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Duck and COVID Season 2, Episode 67. I am so excited to have you guys here. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm so excited. Yes, where was I? Welcome. We have a great episode lined up for you guys tonight. We're speaking to the legendary Dale Ray about upcoming concerts and what it's like to be a musician in a COVID world. What is it like? We're also bringing you your latest binge watch recommendations, and we're also coming at you live with all the latest news delivered by a very, very interesting and funny man. But before we get into that, good evening, Lord. I hope you're well. Let me bring some other guys onto the screen, and that is James and May.
Oh my God, oh my
Good
God, oh my
evening,
God.
May.
This isn't where I parked my car.
So great to see you guys. Matt, glad to have you back in the Shire.
Thank you. I must say, I am very out of sorts tonight. It's all very weird for me because for the first time since the 27th of March, I am not in the driving seat of this show. It's all very, very, very crazy. So my hands are off the controls, and it's all up to James tonight, which is very exciting. No judgment though. No judgment.
I mean, let's not say we're not for empowerment. We're giving a ginger an actual job. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be very exciting. And with that, let's give him over to his first test to cue the news with Doug.
I'm so glad I'm here.
And now, the news with Doug.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's Duck and COVID news at 7 o'clock. We'll start, as always, with the statistics for the COVID pandemic. And up to midnight last night, in that 24-hour period, there was an increase of 239,000 new cases, bringing the global total to just under 15.2 million COVID-19 cases. Of that, just under 5.4 million are active cases, with just under 9.2 million people having recovered from the virus. The current death toll stands at 621,998 deaths officially, keeping the current global mortality rate at 6%. South Africa, however, saw a slightly better infection rate than the day previously, with only 8,170 new cases. That brings our total up to 381,798 officially, with just over 168,000 active cases. Officially, 208,000 people have recovered from the coronavirus in South Africa. Unfortunately, we have also seen 5,368 deaths attributed to the virus. However, our mortality rate decreases somewhat from 2.59% to 2.51%. A Ceres farmer is in hot water for transporting workers from the Eastern Cape to the Western Cape. The Department of Employment and Labour on Tuesday laid charges against him for contravening the COVID-19 regulations. Upon their arrival, the inspector's arrival at the farm, they discovered 160 workers who had arrived in Ceres to take up employment at the farm and in its pack house. The workers arrived in Langerrivier farm on Friday night after being collected by taxi on behalf of the farm owner. The inspectorate found that there were no contracts of employment concluded with the workers in the Eastern Cape, and no proper health screening was conducted before their departure. Further inspection also revealed the employer had no COVID-19 risk assessment in place, and the workplace was not adequately socially distanced. There was a lack of sanitation and poor application of protective clothing. The farmer has been issued a notice which prohibits him from continuing operations on the farm as well as the pack house until a proper risk assessment is provided and he is able to present evidence that shows compliance with COVID-19 regulations. I dare say he tried to cut corners, and now he's got to run around the loop. Anyway, The Department of Tourism that has seen its budget for the 2020-2021 year drastically cut amid the suspension of activities in the industry as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. On Wednesday, Tourism Minister Mamaloko Kubai Ngubane said that the COVID-19 crisis, before the COVID-19 crisis, the budget allocated for tourism was 2.48 billion, right, of which 1.3 billion was for transfers and subsidies. The department has since revised their budget allocation, which is now sitting at 1.48 billion, of which 505 million is for transfers and subsidies. The department has had a total budget reduction of over R1 billion, with South African tourism taking the biggest cuts due to the suspension of most marketing activities. Kunyam Ngubane highlighted that a report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, UNCTAD, has listed SA as one of the top 15 countries worst affected by the near closure of the international travel industry during the pandemic. UNCTAD predicts that tourism in South Africa is going to lose 3% in GDP contribution, and the loss of unskilled jobs in the sector could be as high as 12% if the virus is contained in the next 8 months. It will be higher if it is not. Justice Minister Ronald Lamola said the questionable sentences handed down by KwaZulu-Natal Magistrate Koleka Bodlani were incomplete and incompetent. Bodlani has now been suspended following an investigation into her fitness to hold office. The reason is that several of her cases were placed under review after she was found to be lenient on child rapists. She was removed from the Sexual Offences Court last year. However, up until her suspension, Bodlani continued to serve on the bench after she was assigned to a general court. The Justice and Correctional Services Department has described the sentences handed down by the magistrate as outrageous and disturbing in the extreme. The controversial Umlazi magistrate gave a man who raped a 6-year-old girl a suspended sentence, claiming the victim showed no signs of trauma. She is said to have also set another suspect free, citing he was not interested in women because he carried a bag and styled his hair. As pressure mounts for action to be taken against Bodlani, Deputy Justice Minister John Jeffries said it would take some time. Several of Bodlani's sentences, including those that saw rapists walk free, have now been overturned on review by provincial judges. Hopefully she will be removed from the court and never be allowed to practice law again. In other news, here's what South Africa's pineapple industry knows for sure. When the government bans the sale and distribution of alcohol, the nation's enterprising homebrewers cause a spike in the pineapple price. In the week leading up to President Cyril Ramaphosa's July 12th announcement that alcohol sales and distribution would be suspended with immediate effect, the average price which retailers paid for a box of 10 pineapples at the country's municipal fresh produce markets and directly from farmers was at 80 Rand. On Monday, July 13th, that's the day after the announcement, the price shot up to 120 Rand a box. And by last Friday, it was around 200 Rand, according to Food Lovers Market National Head of Buying Vito Polera. That is a 150% spike. I dare say the only other food product that has seen such an increase is yeast. I wonder what they can be doing with it. As the country's beleaguered healthcare sector battles to get a grip of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and ramps up its bed and equipment capacity, corruption might be its very undoing. This is according to a new report released on Wednesday by anti-corruption and civil rights organization Corruption Watch titled X-Ray, the Critical State of the Health Sector. The report, authored by Malusi Ala, a researcher at the organization, highlights almost 700 whistleblower accounts received between 2012 and the end of last year. Health officials are having to respond to questions of whether or not the country has enough hospitals, medical equipment, beds, or staff. The report's working definition of corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for personal or private gain, and because of the different systems of financing in the healthcare sector, it notes that different forms of corruption are prevalent. According to the report, of the 670 cases of corruption reported nationally in the health sector, about 52% point a finger at the provincial governments, while about 40% level allegations against the national government. In other news, his tongue is always out. He rolls on his back for tummy rubs, and he weighs around 14 kilograms. Harvey is a fawn French bulldog, and he went missing on July 12th in Northcliffe, Johannesburg. His owner, Roxy Ferreira, launched a massive search campaign for her beloved pooch that has resulted in newspaper ads being placed, radio interviews, search parties in the area, and thousands of shares on social media. The campaign #BringHarveyHome has publicly declared it will never give up, and no questions will be asked if and when he is returned. An investigator has been hired by Harvey's family and is probing theories on what may have happened. There's a 20,000 Rand reward for the return of Harvey, a large amount of cash that Roxy insists will be paid upon his return. So please, #BringHarveyHome. Let's everybody work together to help bring this good boy to his owners. And finally, it is 2020, and even the planet knows it. At least that is what volcanologists are saying. Since the beginning of the year, the planet has seen an unprecedented volcanic activity, including eruptions and explosions. On the 19th of July, 2020, there were 25 volcanoes erupting, and volcanologists have issued eruption warnings for an additional 15 volcanoes. That's right, 40 volcanoes. Just have to ask, what else can this year throw at us? Anyway, that's all the time we have for the news. Back to the studio.
That was the news with Doug.
Sup, Doug?
Hello.
If
How
all
is
my
everybody doing?
if all my years in comedy have taught me one thing, it's never ask what else can happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
The universe.
Yeah, like
So just putting that one out there. Yeah,
the jinx is not just a small bird from England. It's a real thing. It's the jinx.
Well, I just feel like, I mean, there was a social media theory that happened that kind of came out a few weeks ago, and it said that the person is convinced that something terrible happened in 2020, and a time traveler from the future has come back to try and stop whatever it was. But every time he does something, it gets worse. I mean, how else do you explain murder hornets that appeared in Washington and then disappeared without anything actually happening? I mean, what happened?
That's a poor plot device, if you ask me. Why introduce them if you're not going to use them?
Exactly. So now
Oh no,
now we have
twist.
erupting volcanoes, and I'm not sure whether it's the result of repeated time travel, right, back and forth, that is disrupting the space-time continuum. It might be that said time traveler has decided, screw it, the only way to fix this is to start over and just blow out the world, all the volcanoes at once. But at the moment, I mean, we've even got three volcanoes in Central Africa that are going off at the moment. I mean,
isn't Kilimanjaro a volcano? Or am I wrong?
It probably was, maybe.
Was it? No, it's a mountain. I don't think it's. Well, I mean, all we need now is for Yellowstone to blow up, and then the world is just.
Kilimanjaro is a dormant volcano. It has three.
Yellowstone is overdue.
Kibo, Mawenzi, and Shira. This is also the highest mountain in Africa.
Those are great names.
Those are good names. Although those aren't good names for volcanoes, to be honest.
No.
Like if they were extinct volcanoes, fine. But I feel like they're not quite menacing enough for dormant volcanoes. I feel like a volcano that could still come back and fuck you should be like Slagathor or something like that.
I want to rename them to John Cena, Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels.
I did actually want to ask you a question, Matt. You see, Grant told us that you were off throwing a ring into a volcano yesterday, which is why you couldn't join us. And now all the volcanoes are erupting. So, I mean, we do have questions. Right?
There's a link. You must have been successful.
It didn't work, guys. Tolkien lied, is all I'm saying.
In case the audience doesn't know, we're talking about Matt as our resident hobbit. We love him dearly.
I did not go to Isengard. I did not go to Isengard. God.
Yeah, like many people think like I'm friends with Matt because we get along, we have like similar sense of humor and believe in the same things. No, it's because Matt's shorter than me and I feel tall around him.
Thanks, Grant.
That's pretty much
Thanks.
it. Anytime, bud. Anytime. Can I read something for you? Can I just drop this?
That particular statement was also said once by Gimli to.
I know. I was going to say it's very rich coming from a dwarf.
guys, no. I made this discovery the other night. Like, sorry to get off topic, but I've become my gnome.
No, well, you haven't gone grey yet.
No, like I have a long beard. I wear beanies, and
you eat shrooms, obviously. Yeah. Apparently,
I'm tubby, and I sing. Like so.
And I sing.
I'm a gnome. I'm a gnome.
You need to put that on your resume. I'm tubby and I sing.
Thanks. The world's going to end. We're all going to die of volcanic eruptions. Ash shall flood us all.
No, hang on, because I just want to point out that picture of all of the volcanoes, like South Africa was looking pretty okay. We were far away from everything.
Yeah.
As we always are.
The volcano is. I mean, if Yellowstone goes off, well, that's a super volcano. That's a planet killer.
Yeah.
I mean, it does depend very much on the volcano.
I have so missed your sunny disposition.
Haven't you? I'm delighted about you. Before we do go into serious depression and that sort of thing, I must say we do need to be rushing along. But before we go, I want to say hi ho, hi ho.
Let's see what we can all get in to watch before the world ends. Let's go over to Extra Lessons for Binge Watch Wednesday.
Hi ho.
Thank you, Grant. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Binge Watch Wednesday. If you're here for Dale Ray, don't worry, he is coming. We promise we're not just filling you with nonsense. This is a special segment that we usually do on Duck and COVID. It's called Binge Watch Wednesday, and we bring you some of the series and movies that we've been watching that we would like to recommend to you, of course. So I guess I can welcome everybody back into the studio, and we'll go for our first one. The first Binge Watch Wednesday I have for everyone this evening is a little series. Most of my stuff will be on Netflix, so if you've got Netflix, it's there, you can find it. My first series is called The Family. Now, The Family is a documentary. It's an American documentary. It's a mini-series that premiered on Netflix in 2019, and the series examines a conservative Christian group known as The Family, or The Fellowship, and its history. It investigates its influence upon American politics, which is quite fun. A lot of the series focuses around its founder, which is Doug Coe, who has basically been carefully trying to influence and get involved with American politics, and has created this fraternity with these young people who go out and make these political friends, basically, so that they can kind of get the church influencing. A lot of it is based around it's called the American, it's the prayer breakfast, or I think it's a huge national thing, and there's international leaders and people that come through for this whole prayer breakfast, and there's a lot of scandal and there's a lot of problems linked with this, because obviously church and state should not be mixed, but this series very interestingly shows us that.
Is it fiction? Non-fiction?
No. It's a documentary. It's an original documentary, and it's actually from the book. The guy who produced it wrote a book about it, and he's just turned it into a series. Yeah. And it's really not fiction, and it's kind of gearing you up for Conspiracy Thursdays tomorrow.
I was about to say, we've let James do 2 segments of Extra Lessons. One Yeah, I think you forgot that the last time was Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Binge Watch Wednesday today, James.
It's a good series. It's a really good series.
I watched some of it. I haven't yet finished it, but I found it to be very interesting, both fascinating and terrifying at the same time.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to watch it. I don't think I can.
No, it's great.
Because I watched the first episode of this, I think, and it was quite a while ago. But I think I'm right in saying as well that it's not partisan. It reaches across both parties. So,
That's right.
like, whether or not you're Republican or Democratic doesn't matter. They'll
Yeah.
Which is-
There is a slight problem that they didn't quite go as far into the Democratic candidacy, because basically anything that's come out in the last 4 years is going to hate on the conservatives and it's going to hate on Trump. So it is more focused towards that kind of direction. But I mean, the family has been there throughout most of American history in the last 40 years while the Douglas guys running around. It's quite a watch.
One of the things that is most interesting about this is that it does make you realize that it doesn't really matter who you're voting for, Democrat or Republican in the United States. It's the guys behind them, like the parties are just like the face, and they have this kind of fight in the front while the real stuff goes on in the back. It's the way I best describe it is that the White House, the Senate, and the House of Congress are the modern day Colosseum. All of the important, bread and circus.
This is the underlying. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating watch. It's got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, 80% Rotten Tomatoes. So give it a go.
Yeah.
I say, give it a go. Your second series this evening is called Athlete A. This is quite a new series on Netflix. It only came out, I think, this year, 2020. And it deals around American USA gymnastics international team. It deals with the governing body, and it specifically focuses on the sexual abuse that was happening in Team USA for what has been nearly 20 years by Larry Nassar. The story starts to follow, it's a young lady named Maggie Nichols. And she put these claims forward. She started throwing out that, sexual abuse was happening in the camps they were going to. That was in 2015. And basically the committee, the whole USA gymnastics team just said nope. And they tried to quash these complaints and this horrendous thing that happened from the very, very top. It seems to come out. It's informative. It's given actually 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Really, really good documentary. Yeah, 100% Rotten Tomatoes. It's really well done. It's horrific. It is absolutely horrific.
What was the guy's name?
Please tell me the next one's a nice one.
The next guy, the guy's name was Larry Nassar.
If Larry Nassar is very lucky, he'll get Natal Magistrate Koleka Budlani.
I was going to say. I was going to say. What does Athletics USA and KwaZulu-Natal Magistrates have in common?
I say, luckily, I must ask. It's very possible that this fellow was also a friend of Jeff Epstein, right?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. He was arrested in 2016. Thank goodness.
Yeah, and he got sentenced for like forever. Because
pretty much.
It was one of the few sentences in which, because it was like 15 sentences that were to run not
back to back.
Yeah, they were to run back to back, not at the same time. So basically,
consecutively, not concurrently.
That's the one. Thank you.
He must have been happy because 15 is clearly his favorite number.
Ooh,
wow.
But I think he was going to prison for the equivalent to something like 125 years or something like that. So it's just he's never getting out. They threw him in a hole, and he's never getting out.
I hope so. God, and it's the rest of the people that also need to be kind of looked at.
As
usual. But like a series like this really points out like the abuse, not only physically but mentally, and how horrific coaches can be to people who are athletes and international athletes who want to get to that top tier. They can be brutal, and it breaks. I mean, these kids were like 14, 15 when they start trying out for the USA gymnastics team. It happens across the board. It's not just gymnastics. It's all sports all over the world.
Basically, what we're saying is if you wish to fall into a pit of misery, watch this show.
Cool. For your third one, will absolutely take you out of that pit of misery and will absolutely make you think that the world is fantastic. This is a movie I watched recently. It's on Netflix. It's just come on. It's called Burn After Reading. It has the best cast. The best cast. It's George Clooney, Frances McDormand, John Malkovich, Tilda Swinton, and Brad Pitt, who I love. So Brad Pitt's my man.
For me, it's John Malkovich and Tilda Swinton. Like
It's also got J.K. Simmons, who's that dude. Love that dude. But basically, this movie's it's a black comedy crime film. It was written and produced by the Coen brothers, and it basically there's a recently. How do I say this? He's a recently kind of jobless CIA analyst, John Malkovich, who misplaces his memoirs, having worked with the CIA. And it gets found by these two absolute retards, played by Frances McDormand and Brad Pitt.
Spoilers.
No, that's not the spoilers. So, yeah. So that's the premise. That's where it starts. It's hilarious. It's Brad Pitt at his finest. And, yeah, I think it's great.
I see that this is a Coen Brothers film.
It is a Coen Brothers film. Yeah, it was made by the Coen Brothers and written by.
Well, that wasn't. That was a picture of James's desktop. But this is a Coen Brothers film. Yes.
If anybody's seen that one in the Deep South. Oh, brother, where art thou?
Yeah.
Or The Big Lebowski. Those are also Coen Brothers films, so you kind of know the sort of direction you're going in.
Moving on to the next one. To get you set for Conspiracy Thursdays once again, it's a series called Dirty Money on Netflix.
Oh, yes.
This is a great little series. Basically, it's
sorry, Jimmy.
Once again,
this is that series about where money goes in a strip club, right?
What? No,
different Dirty Money series. Okay, different Dirty Money series. Sorry.
Oh, Scott. Okay. This show tells the story about corporate corruption, securities frauds, creative accounting. Has nothing to do with strippers, we promise. Unless you count Donald Trump as one. He was involved with one. Anyway, one of the episodes revolves around Donald Trump. It's called The Confidence Man and just talks about all of his scandalness. He's rubbish. Yeah. And it also talks about Jared Kushner in one of the episodes. It's called Slumlord Millionaire. And basically it paints him as taking complete advantage. It's basically just how the American system and how a lot of systems that are supposed to be looking after people completely ruin people. And
was this one was one of the episodes about that a massive party that was going to be held in some island somewhere in the Caribbean that then turned into the biggest shit show in the world? Was that part of this series? No, that was a different series.
Documentary. That's the Fire Festival.
That's the Fire Festival. Yeah.
Fire Festival, which is also really, really good. That involves Exhibit X to the Z. But yeah. Love that guy. No, this doesn't. This is more of an in-depth look in things like banking. It goes into the HSBC, where they basically threw all that money away into Wolf of Wall Street. It's where all that whole scandal came from. Really good documentary series. If you can't tell, I love my dockies. So there you go. Coming on to, that is again my back top, but here is your next one. It is Star Trek Discovery.
Yay!
I'm a Trekkie. This is awesome. Watch it. That's it. That's all I got for you.
I do have to ask a question though, because I have tried watching some of this, and it's not bad. I will give you that. I mean, it's not
different.
Bad. But if you've got to choose between, say, The Next Generation, Voyager, Generations.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm a huge fan. Picard all the way, definitely. This takes a completely different spin on Star Trek. It doesn't do your regular soapy in the stars kind of vibe. It is. It follows a singular path. It follows a singular character mostly, which is very different to your Star Trek of old day. It's still rad though, man. It's still people fighting Klingons in space, and it makes me happy.
I feel that this is a Star Trek series for people who are introduced to Star Trek with the latest rendition of the movies, with the kind of resurgence of the movies.
So it's not for the purists, in other words.
Not necessarily for the purists. Rotten Tomatoes has given it 82%. It has got 82% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's it. I think it's more action heavy. It's as you say, it focuses on a singular character. It's a more linear process. Whereas, and while it still maintains, in my opinion, much of Gene Roddenberry's original intention, in terms of showing a future, I feel that there is the removal of the utopian aspect, which is what Roddenberry was really trying to create.
Although,
utopian future.
To their credit, it is set before the original Star Wars. So it is pre-original Star Wars, when everything's a bit more gritty. It's a little bit more harsh because the war has started with the Klingons and a lot of people have died. And it's like, it starts from a gritty action place, So
has Darth Vader come in yet?
Not yet.
I was about to say, you said Star Wars twice.
Please don't.
Damn it! That is
we're gonna have to. We're
cringe.
gonna have to edit that out.
We're gonna have to edit that out. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
You're gonna have to
Especially anyway, for your cringe this evening and things, I'm gonna start with this one because I really didn't enjoy it. It's called The World's Most Extraordinary Homes. I don't like these things. The hosts, they're like, their names, it's Carolyn Quinton and Piers Taylor, who's like, he's an architect, or he's a reviewer of an architect.
Carolyn and Piers, of course they are.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's their relationship that makes it awkward. I think like the way that they interact with each other just makes it really, really cringe for me, because one's an actress and one's like, half mathematician, half rocket scientist. And it's like, how they mesh becomes really like,
I agree.
It's like this actor and all these clever people.
I agree. I think that their interaction relationship is probably the cringiest part of the entire show, because it becomes quite obvious very early on and carries on pretty much throughout the whole thing. They don't really like each other that much.
It's weird.
They put up with each other and they have to pretend to like each other for the show.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, the architect / mathematician does a better job of pretending to like his co-host than the actress does. So, but
like the houses that also come in the show, like there's this one where you're literally like, I don't know if you've watched Ad Astra, but there's this space station on Mars, and literally one of the houses looks like this. It's just this dark, cavernous anger that has no character whatsoever. And there's 2 children living in one of these homes, and the mother's decided to hide everything in the walls. Why?
That was the one in Spain. That was the one made pretty much entirely out of metal in Spain.
It's recycled.
Let's be fair about this. When you're watching this show, keep this in mind. These people have more money than sense, right? Okay. And
however,
the houses mostly are not made for comfort. They're made to show off.
Exactly.
And if you are someone who does like to watch cringeworthy stuff, then apparently this is quite worth it, according to my lovely wife.
What do you have for us next, James?
I couldn't even find a Rotten Tomato score on it. But however, next and for final, this is cringe, but I feel like it's a good kind of cringe. It's Bruno.
Bruno.
I think if you haven't watched this, it's pretty old. It's awesome. Sacha Baron Cohen. He basically plays a gay Austrian fashion designer who's lost his job in Austria and decides to come to America and become like the next best Austrian thing since Hitler. And it's just...
I can't.
It goes through his regular kind of like running around, embarrassing, and doing these crazy interviews with people that really, you question that they're in power positions and leadership positions. But there it is, Bruno, Sacha Baron Cohen. Keep you cringed all evening, yo.
Does it bother anybody else that like he probably has a better ass than any of us can ever hope to attain? Ever.
I mean, I wouldn't lie. Like Sacha Baron Cohen in a mankini does
things for you. Does it give you the fizz?
Right, I'm going to move that away. And that's it. That's all Binge-Watch Wednesday.
What? Is that the end? Why?
That's the end. That's it. No, done. Back to the studio.
And now the moment that we've all been waiting for. We are going to welcome our guest into the studio. Thank you so much for that. And are we all ready? Let's do a little drum roll.
Has anyone ever came on the show and ululated as their entrance?
No, that's the first.
Yes,
And it was pretty cool.
Missed an opportunity there.
I must say, when Doug sang "Hey Hi Ho" earlier, I thought that was my entrance music. I was a little bit offended. I was like, "It's Daryl, not Ho." But
Then you saw it was mixed up, you know.
what's up, guys?
Yeah,
Sup,
not
man?
much. Great to have you in the studio, guys.
Nice to
This
see
is
you.
Dale Ray. This is a guy who I made acquaintance with how many years back? Jeez, I don't know. When we were much
2 years.
young.
Much young.
Yeah. We worked on a children's theatre production together, Heidi, where I was Heidi's grandfather and Dale was what was his name? Peter.
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 Heidi's best friend.
Heidi's best friend. Yes, it wasn't Clara, it was Peter.
I don't remember that from the classic, but okay, sure.
You know what's so interesting though? Grant was talking about his gnome, that he kind of looks like his gnome. You look exactly like that gnome back in that show. You had a white beard and you had a beanie.
Dude, do you have pictures?
I do have pictures actually.
Yeah. Fun. Like I would spend 3/4 of an hour putting white paint on my beard every day. It looked like an old buddy. Meanwhile, I should have just worked with you guys for 5 months. It would have done the same effect, you know?
I dare say we've had no effect on your beard. We've had an effect on your head, though. All right.
There you go.
Grant's mental stability.
Yeah. Where was that? But anyway, the reason why we have Dale on here tonight is to also help promote his show. You're doing a little thing called A Pinch of Soul next week, Thursday. Would you like to tell us more about that? What's going on with that?
So, obviously lockdown. I'm a musician. That's pretty much what I do. And obviously, since the lockdown, in fact, before the lockdown happened, my job was taken away. All musicians' jobs really were taken away. So I think it was about the 3rd week of lockdown, or maybe after the first month, I decided, we need to do something. When we realized, okay, this is going to be a few months, we actually need to do something. We cannot sit here and wait for it to end. So then I started this band. Actually, I had in mind of starting it for a while, and I was chatting to a friend of mine, and he said, let's just do it. So I started it with a friend of mine, Travis Johnston, who's the bass player in the band. And it's called A Pinch of Soul. So it's soul music. We've got a ridiculously all-star band. Monique Hendricks is on lead vocals with me, and she's just amazing. She's been singing on. I don't know if you know. You guys don't look like the type of guys that's into African gospel, but you never know.
I want to make one thing very clear. I have no problem with the African part of it. All right, it's the gospel I'm not into.
But there's actually an amazing artist by the name of Mahalia Buchanan who's huge, and this singer that's singing with me has sung with her. So we've our drummers, the drummer for Mango Groove, our keyboard player
Wow.
is the musical director for what's RJ Benjamin for many years. So we've got an all-star band, man. Our guitarist actually he's been playing jazz in Texas for so many years. So we've got a really good band. And so what we do is we do soul covers. So it's stuff like, just the two of us. Let's stay together. Al Green, Bill Withers, that type of thing. But we also we're doing like some Michael Jackson or some Ed Sheeran, and then we put a little pinch of soul. A little pinch of soul into it. So for the younger crowd.
So
can I put in a project that doesn't have Michael Jackson in it? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Can I put in a special request?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you do a soul version of All the Small Things by Blink-182?
Ooh, good song. Good. You know what?
You could have given him a heads up before the show started, so he could get
I tell you
You
what,
got a
we'll do
week.
that just for
You
you.
got a week.
We'll do it. Yes,
That's awesome.
we'll do it just for you.
No, this all sounds very, very cool. I've got to say. I mean, this is.
There are some brilliant videos on Facebook under the Pinch of Soul Facebook page that I've seen, and you guys sound incredible. This sounds amazing, man. And those are just small snippets that I've seen, so I'm excited for the show. Definitely.
Yeah.
And by the looks of it, a lot of people are. Seeing some of the comments coming in. Yeah, man.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we hope so. At the end of the day, we need to eat something. It's been like 3 months, So
Yeah.
I spoke to my nephew to ask if I could just borrow a top here because the other one I was wearing looked a bit like a dress. So
when lockdown started, like I really thought like I was totally fine. I've got a whole bank account full of exposures from all the gigs that I've done for exposure. And you know what? Nobody accepts them. It's weird. It's such a strange thing. But I also need to add on. Dale's been talking about like all the people in his band who are so cool. I also just need to blow. Whoa. I was about to say I need to blow Dale's horn, but I know that. But I mean, honestly, I've never met a more lovely soul, beautifully talented, and great guy like Dale. This dude is so capable when it comes to all things music. And you're also, to be totally honest, you're also a bit of like a crisis control. Like, you can bring Dale into a musical project like a week before it's going on stage, and
I don't know why they do that to me. I don't know why they do it to me. Whether or not you're good at it, doesn't mean that I enjoy it.
I mean, you've emptied a whole bunch of Janice Honeyman's pantos as well.
Yes,
and you just make the things happen, man. And that's like, honestly, like, kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's great to have you on the show. But I must say, now that you're on the show,
oh no,
I have a tiny request. Would you possibly consider playing a little ditty so that people have a taster of what they know they're signing up for?
You can refuse to do it just based on the fact that he asked you to play a ditty. That is like the least soulful thing I've ever heard come out of someone's mouth. Hey, play us a ditty.
Play us a ditty. Make me laugh.
All right, Mr. Gnome. All right, Mr. Gnome. Put down the mushrooms. Put down the mushrooms. Come on.
How about if I do something like all the small things?
Oh,
yes.
That's made my evening. That by itself. I go to bed happy tonight.
Done.
Okay, Grant, I'll do this one for you since you realize that I'm such a Michael Jackson fan.
Yay.
Will you be able to hear? Let me know if you can't hear. If you can't hear, just freak out a little bit and I'll stop.
But what if I freak out anyway?
We might just naturally do it. Don't worry.
Hey, pretty baby with the high heels on. You give me fever like I never ever known. You're just a product of loveliness. I like the groove of your walk, your talk, your dress. I feel your fever from miles around. I'll pick you up in my car and we'll paint the town. Just kiss me, baby, and tell me twice that you're the one for me, the way you're making me feel, baby. You really turning me on, alright. You knocking me off of my feet now, baby. My lonely days are gone, my lonely days are gone. Ooh.
Yeah! What a legend! Oh, Del, I knew it. As soon as I saw you post an advert for concert and that you were back on Facebook, I was like, yes, we need this done.
Thank you, man.
So all I can say is that if you can make a little impromptu session on like StreamYard sound like that, then that concert is going to sound freaking incredible. That is going to be amazing.
I must tell you, it really, it doesn't do it justice without the other five guys here, man. I tried my best. I hope I did you guys proud. So,
very much.
So this concert, tell us once again, Dale, this concert's happening next week, Thursday, as we know. Give us the details, break it down for us.
So it's next
where
week.
People find stuff and all those things.
Awesome. So it's next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. and the concert will be streamed on Quicket. You can also get your tickets on Quicket. So there will be, if you go to our Facebook page, A Pinch of Soul, you will see there's a link there, the link in the description. So to get your ticket for Quicket, you must click it. And then it will take you it's like, oh, there's the link.
There it is.
Yeah, you guys, it's pretty simple. The tickets are 60 Rand. We say 60 Rand, and then it says plus a 5 Rand booking fee. That's tickets. That's Quicket's fee. That's not us. We're not that greedy. So they charge an extra 5 Rand booking fee, and then they will send you an email with the link, and then you just come and watch it on the 30th. A cool thing is, though, for anyone watching that's not in South Africa, we've got some people in Australia, some people in the States, where obviously that's a weird time of the day, of the night for them. So the show will go off immediately when we're done, and 12 hours later the recording of the show will come back, and it will be on for 7 days, and then you can watch it anytime you want to for the next 7 days after that. Even if you've bought a ticket already and seen it already, you can watch it as many times.
Nice.
So yeah,
It's going to be there for the rest of the week. You can watch it over and over again.
over again.
I can definitely I agree with David van Aswegen. Like, you will not regret it. I've honestly I'm like such a fanboy, Dale. Like, all my enthusiasm is coming out in one go.
I just have to say something. Grant chose. He was very selective in what he chose to say. The work that we've done together, because we also did a pantomime together where he didn't play Heidi's grandfather. He actually played my mother.
And I was in that audience. I saw that live.
Yes. Man, I wish we could have done show and tell. Sorry, Grant.
How did I miss this?
Oh, me in a dress. It's like it was my dream role. Once I was a dad, it was the best.
How did I miss this? How did
you? Like the finale, I was in a skin-tight rainbow sequin dress with a headpiece as high as this roof and golden platforms. And I had earrings donated to me by the one and only Tubi Krunier. Like, as a little gay stage boy, I was in my element.
It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing.
One of the biggest challenges was when they said, Dale, put your arm, during the rehearsal process, Dale, put your arm around Grant. And you're trying, but there's a boob, like like keeping you at least 2 meters from you.
Whole pillow. The whole pillow. You didn't even cut it.
Man.
I was also wondering, Dale, is there what happens after the concert? Do you guys have more planned after that for A Pinch of Soul?
So
Yeah.
the whole concept is that we're planning to do a concert at least every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, depending on how busy everyone is. So we've got another one coming up probably near the end of August, and then the idea is to have some guest artists for our third concert. We'll have a guest artist come and perform on the show. We're also taking requests, so we definitely will give all the small things a go. Taking requests and some dedications as well. Some dedications. And then looking to feed nights as well. So some date nights, for the maybe 70s, 80s, 90s. So we've got a lot kind of in the bag. We just gotta pull them out one by one. So that's the vibes, man.
Oh, man,
I'm so excited.
Changing music as we go.
Just on a technical level, I mean, like, are you guys doing this in a studio, or are you just doing this sort of in somebody's house, doing it like GarageBand style? I mean, then just streaming it on, like.
So I would say it's a combination of the two things that you mentioned. We're doing it at someone's house in their studio.
Oh,
so,
cool. Okay.
It has that studio feel. It has that, obviously, keeping within the COVID-19 government's regulations, but we've got that cozy feel going on. So we don't want to go for the whole stage vibe. We like the idea. I mean, especially soul music, from the comfort of your couch. We want to just have that comfortable vibe. So that's the idea. And then man, I must tell you though, it's tough selling tickets. People don't just like to buy tickets. And it's it's a tough one.
Well, on that note, I've got to say, you guys have no excuse, because while we were talking, I went on to www.quicket.co.za. I typed in search, I clicked on the search bar, and I didn't even get the full. I typed in A Pinch, and it came up, clicked on it, and it takes you straight to the page. For all of you guys watching, do not say that it was too difficult to find a ticket. It is easy. I did it while talking. I'm a man and I multitask that shit.
Look at that.
You can do it. Okay.
Boom.
Go get a ticket.
Awesome, man.
I mean,
so efficient on the show.
It is very exciting. Very efficient.
Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but like I could honestly do with some soul. Even when I was listening now, I was like, I was just like, like my stream was off, I was.
It makes you feel so warm and fuzzy, just like you're just like, yeah, yes,
and I was like,
yes.
I tell you guys, I had like a really shit day, to be totally honest. Like, and prepare yourselves, because the most privileged rant is going to come now. Like. For those of you who do not know, I am a gay bear. I take a lot of pride in my beard. Like, my beard is the thing.
Oh, I was going to mention this, but anyway.
I went today to go have my beard trimmed, and the barber slipped, and he put a hop in my beard. A beard that I've been growing for 4 months. I was bleak. To say the least. So I'd spent 2 hours like trying to save this poor thing, but and so I was just having the worst day ever. And then I just listened to Dale sing, and you know what? You give me a life, brother. Like,
thank you, man. Look, I just have to say, you shouldn't complain too much, because I've actually been growing my beard. It's been about 4 months. I think I'm having a tougher time than you right now, Grant.
That barber sneaking into your house and just slipping the thing on your face when you're asleep. It's a conspiracy.
No, but look, I'm glad a pinch of soul will make you feel a bit better. That's good. So we should. And you actually helped me realize now we should be marketing to people with beards and bad barbers.
There we go.
There you go.
Yes.
Anybody who has fallen foul of a blade needs to know about Pinch of Soul.
Fallen foul of a blade. My God, you can turn a phrase.
That's the name of my memoirs, by the way.
Yeah. On that note, guys, we're reaching the end of our hour. But Dale, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. But before we ring out, I would just like to bring in a mention as well. After you've paid your 60 Rand to get a cricket tickets, please consider maybe donating 20 Rand or 30 Rand or even more if you so feel to People for Purpose. They are busy doing a charity drive, getting money in for the backstage crew of productions across South Africa. Crew workers do not qualify for UIF because they work on a contract basis. And unfortunately, they're not as flashy and outspoken as actors are. So many people forget about them. So if you have it in your heart, or even if you don't have it in your heart and have it in your wallet, please contact People for Purpose at help@feedourcrew.co.za and help put food on the table for the crew that are destitute in this time. And on that really sad note, thank you everybody for joining us. Dale, again, absolute pleasure. Can't stop singing your praises. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Stay sane, stay safe, stay sexy. Goodbye.